Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Is Breakfast Included? On the show today, I speak with Angus Young. Mike Mroz. He plays Angus in the Dallas tribute band of AC/DC called Back in Black. Like I said a couple of weeks ago when I talked to Ramiro, they are the premier AC/DC tribute band. And I just wanted to pick his brain a little bit about why he started the band. They've been around for 21 years. They just released a documentary called My Stupid Tribute Band, which is available on Amazon Prime Video. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Mike was a pleasure to talk to. I said this in Ramiro's interview. He seemed like the nicest guy, and he really is. Anyway, it was a great conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Let's check it out. I've been with John for 13 years. Like I said, it's never been any lows with him, and
Right.
he treats me like a human being.
And that's why you've been there 13 years. You wouldn't, why would you want to put up with that? And as you get older, I find out it's more important to work for people you like than for the money, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good deal.
Well, man, I usually start this off by having you introduce yourself. So tell everyone who you are.
Sure. My name is Michael Mroz. I am the founder of an AC/DC tribute band called Back in Black here in Dallas, Texas. We've been doing this now for 21 years. I play guitar. I play the Angus character. And also, we just released a movie called My Stupid Tribute Band, which we're very proud of.
Right on. That's why I've reached out to you to talk to you about that. You've been around for 21 years, you said, right?
Correct.
Did you think when you started this band, you'd be here 21 years later talking about your documentary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I planned on 49 years. No, it's crazy. It's just crazy. When we first started, I was all about original music. I used to drive Darren crazy because he always wanted to play covers, I started out playing covers in bars and stuff. And then when I moved to LA, I really wanted to write songs and, hone that craft and truly be, an artist. But as you know, the music business just stinks. And out in LA, multiply that by 10,000 because there's so many musicians out there that, and they all got attitudes and it's so oversaturated that the bars don't even pay any money. They had the pay to play going on. We never did it, but what the bars did is they said, okay, you can play my joint this night, but here's 100 tickets and you have to buy the tickets up front from me, say for, $300. And now it's your responsibility to get the money back and sell those tickets. So we have people in my club. And because there's so many bands out there, they were doing it, so it was just so competitive, it's so tough. And I also got to know the guys at Sony Music because I was in the video game industry, and Sony was a big player with PlayStation, so they actually invited me to be on their softball team. Mm-hmm. And it was most of their A&R department, and then I got a rare insight to the music business that way because they shared, all their frustrations, how many bands they had signed and weren't going anywhere. And it just, it kind of jaded me a little bit, but it gave me a realistic view of, saying, what are you going to do with your life? It's going to be really hard to make it as a, original artist. You can play to 10 people in these clubs. And so I kind of quit for a while. And then, in the video, I talked about going back to Chicago, and there was a huge tribute scene there. And I'd go out to the bars on the weekend, and I saw these great tribute bands. I thought, man, that just looks fun. And the places were packed. And I thought, well, I'm going to try that out in LA. And nobody in LA was doing tribute bands except one group of guys called the Atomic Punks. Mm-hmm. And I went to go see them. And holy smokes. They were such an influence because they did it good. I mean, they were a very serious tribute band. Their singer, Ralph, did a better David Lee Roth than I thought David Lee Roth was doing. He was a younger, better looking version. Of course, when you tribute somebody, you'll never be like the original artist and never be in his shoes and what he went through.
Yeah.
But they did a great job. It just really, really appealed to me. And that's how I got the whole stupid idea.
And your first tribute band was a tribute to Cheap Trick, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, would you
Huge
say they're your favorite band?
Yeah, yeah. I just love that band. Big part of the reason I play these guitars is because of Rick Nielsen, and growing up in Chicago, I had seen and heard of them around town, and they just really appealed to me. I just love their music and great songwriting, and Rick is an amazing guitar player. And Bernie, I've always liked bands that are animated. I never got into bands where guys just stood on stage and just played their guitar.
Yeah.
That's why I love Kiss. I love Rick Nielsen, the Cheap Trick. He's running around, real goofy and playing. And of course, that led me to Angus, and um, but yeah, the Cheap Trick band was a great, great experience. Loved it. Really fun. And, our second night, they brought out Tom Peterson, the original bass player for Cheap Trick, to come check us out. And we were backstage, and, you know, I was floored when he walked into the room. I'd never met any of the guys from Cheap Trick, never thought I would ever meet him. And here's Tom Peterson, And so immediately I asked him if he'd want to play. And he's like, yeah, I love to. And he got up there and played a couple of songs. And fortunately that night I had the video, a guy videotaping us, and I caught the whole set on video, and it was just a great memory now. But after we finished that second song with Tom on stage, I didn't know this, but he wanted to keep playing. And we sent him on his way. And if I would have known that, I would have kept him on the stage all night, dang it. But I just didn't want to impose on him. And I thought, I'll appreciate what I have and not push it,
Yeah. Well, you talk about this in the documentary. What led you to start the Back in Black, and what was that?
It was, I came out to Texas. I put my head down. We talked about starting a family with my wife, and she had stood by my side all these years and put up with my bullshit of, trying to do this whole band thing. So what I did, Bernie, when I was an upcoming musician, I never went all in. And I think that's what you needed to do. But I always had a very practical side of me. And I knew that I always had to have a good job. I had to support myself. And I just couldn't go all in. I didn't want to live in an apartment with 10 guys, on Sunset, and having girls buy me groceries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always kept a practical head on myself. So, I got lucky. I got into the PC gaming business, and then that parlayed into PlayStation and video games. And then we were really lucky. I got my wife into the industry, and then we relocated back to Texas in Dallas here because it's centrally located, and Dallas has a great airport to get in and out of.
Yeah.
And, we were both calling on clients all across the nation, and, flying from LA to New York was getting to be such a beating. So that's why we relocated to Texas. And it turned out it was a great move because not only for the video game industry, but people here in Texas are great music fans. I mean, I've been around the country, and Texas has a share of great music fans, and the clubs pay good money here. There's no pay to play. It's not oversaturated. So it turned out to be a real good move for my music side, and I didn't even realize it. So anyway, I'm doing the video game business. I've been a good boy for 6 or 7 years, not playing my guitar, and I'm just getting the itch. And I started thinking about just having fun again. I thought, what? Some guys have poker night, they have bowling night. I'm going to see if I can just have a band night. And so I talked to my wife. She said, sure. She says, I know I can't stop you. And I thought, you know what? The Cheap Trick band was really good, but let's up it a notch, and I want to learn Angus's style of playing. He's a great rock blues guitarist. I knew Darren could do that voice. So I called him up and I said, you know what? Let's just do this once a month. He was out in New York at the time. And I said, I'm going to fly out and we're going to do a show. And then you could go right back out to New York, and we'll do that for a little while and see how that goes. And so we started doing that. And I found the guys here, through a local newspaper, and it just all came together so fast. And we were sounding so good. And Darren would come out, we would rehearse, and the guys loved him. And then we did that first show at the Rock, and just all the frustration memories came back to me, and just dealing with an alcoholic bar owner who didn't want to pay us. The sound system wasn't that great. My ears were ringing. We had a good turnout. We had some friends turn out, so that was encouraging. But it wasn't how I envisioned it, and it was a tough night.
Yeah, it never is, right?
Yeah, it's never easy. And I thought, I'm done. I don't want to do this again. I got a great career. And then I went back and I watched the videotape, because I always videotaped our band. And little did I know how valuable that footage would be coming down the road for this documentary. But I watched that videotape and I thought, God dang, there's some good spots on there, and maybe we can build on this. And then later that day, the guy at the Rock called me again and said, let's try it again. And I thought, okay. And like I said in the video, we went down there, we just sucked a little less, but we got better. And then we just parlayed it from there.
Has it always been in you to document these times? Like you document the first rehearsal with Darren, pretty much everything you have documented, even just a little bit.
Growing up being a musician, even when I was, in my little garage bands back in Chicago, I'd bring a little tape recorder so I can, listen to our playing, and it's such a great educational tool. So I would do that. And then when video cameras came out, I bought a video camera, and I would bring them to all the rehearsals and the shows. And I had this big, stockpile of rehearsals and videos from my whole life of being in a band. And I just was thinking one day, I thought, our 20th anniversary is coming up. And I thought, man, we need to do something, because a lot of bands don't last 20 years, and that's a lot of hard work. And, you'd be in an industry, how tough it is. It's tough to stay together 5 years. So I thought, maybe I could try to make just a little snippet. I thought like 5-minute history of the band.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started pulling out all this footage and stuff. I'm like, holy crap, I got our first rehearsal. I got our first show. I got these other big shows we did. And I'm like, holy cow, I might have something here. Okay.
Throughout the documentary, you talk about your struggles with Darren and your guys' love-hate relationship. But you stuck with him. And then even after he left, you I don't know if it was you welcomed him back or you wanted him back. But how is your relationship now?
It's great. And Bernie, I never would have predicted this 21 years ago. Darren's a great guy. We are really opposite people, but we just get along. That guy, we just get along. We write so well together. We're silly together. He's got some things that make me crazy, but he's got some things that I really admire about him. And here we are after, since 1989, we're still really great friends. I mean, that's something really special. We have something special here.
Yeah. And he's very open about his drinking in the documentary. Do you think when a lot of people don't know, like, he actually auditioned for AC/DC. Do you think if that audition would have come earlier in your career, of Back in Black's career, do you think he would have handled it the way he did?
I thought the timing was perfectly. I think if it would have came earlier when he was drinking, he probably would have done okay. I think he definitely did better in the state of mind that he did it when it happened. The one thing about Darren, he drank a lot, but he was a friendly, operational alcoholic.
Yeah.
Some guys, they just, they can't even walk, or function. Darren would get stronger. It's like, you ever see that WKRP in Cincinnati with Johnny Fever?
Yeah.
And he starts drinking and he actually gets more coordinated. That kind of reminds me of Darren. He would just, it would amp him up, and it would just, I don't know, it put him in a mindset of performing. And, Darren at the beginning, he was kind of shy when he started performing. And I think that's part of the reason why he started drinking more. As a
The
lot of
liquid
rock
courage.
stars do. Yeah, liquid courage. And then it just got to that point. But yeah, that's an excellent question, Bernie. I remember he had quit drinking, and then we got the call. And he also cut back on the cigarette smoking a little bit. And at this time, we noticed how strong his voice was getting. And like I said in the documentary, it's like I didn't have a teenager in the band anymore. All of a sudden, he was behaving like a regular person, and after years and years of that, I didn't realize how much that wears you out.
Yeah.
And now, we get along great. He's usually the first person to show up at our shows. He's a true professional and he works really hard. He loves to work. He'll never turn down a show. If I said we had 4 shows this weekend, I'm like, can we sneak in one more? He's like, yeah, let's do it. He'll never turn it down. So all that BS I put up with all those years, Bernie, the universe is coming back to me and rewarding me right now. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. We're going to try to keep this thing going as long as we can.
Well, I do have a couple of friends that were guitar techs on that tour that were there for the rehearsals. And in 2019, when I went to work with Greg Howard, I asked him, it was one of the first things I asked him about when we were catching up. I go, hey, man, tell me about that audition with the guy from Dallas. And straight up, he goes, that guy killed it. He came in and he goes, everyone's jaw just dropped, you know. He said the band was so impressed by him. Do you think after that audition, did you guys get the blessing of AC/DC to be what I would refer to as the premier AC/DC tribute band?
Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, that audition, I love talking about that audition, and so was Darren. Yeah, I met Greg, and he was doing Stevie's rig, which was Malcolm's rig, and I met Trace Foster, which was doing Angus's rig, and what great guys. I mean, like I told you earlier, Greg grabbed me right away, and he took us for a little tour of the guitars and the rig, and Trace was awesome too. He showed me Angus's guitars, his amps. Darren did an outstanding job at that audition, and we were really excited. And I had never been in the presence of AC/DC, but I've been in the presence of other musicians, and I can tell when they get like worked up a little bit, and I can tell they're pretty excited about what Darren was doing.
Yeah.
And it was really exciting. Their manager had told us afterward that they appreciated what we did, and they knew about us. They had researched us for a while, and they felt, we're a great marketing vehicle for the band because we do it right.
Mm-hmm.
We do it with respect and love for these guys. And and he told us, he's like, after, now that you guys hung out with you guys like this, he says we consider you guys part of our family, and they're a real tight family. And that just blew us away. I mean, what a great compliment to get that from your
Yeah,
hero.
that's amazing. A great compliment,
Yeah.
Moving on, Stripwired. Around that time, you guys decided you wanted to put out an album of original material. You went by a different name. How'd you come about with the name, first of all?
Stripwired, we were kicking around names, and we didn't. It's so hard to name a band. You come up with a billion dumb names before you get a decent one. And the guys like the name Wired, and but that was taking, and I can't remember. I think I said let's just throw Strip in front of it. And I said let's make our own name, so that when somebody Googles it, nothing else comes up. It's just our name. So that's why we like the name Stripwired. And I felt like it had energy too.
It does. If you listen to the album, it fits you guys perfect.
Yeah. As at first I wasn't sure about it, but as time has gone on, I'm happy with the name. And this goes back to me, and Darren in our early days. I wanted to be an original artist. It's still in me. And when you meet your heroes like that, it is so inspirational. And also, Bernie, I staying in that room with them. We were just there for 5 or 6 hours. I got their sense of their work ethic. I saw how they played a song. I saw how they rehearse. I saw how their whole operations came together, and it was so inspiring. I mean, it was so professional. It just made me realize how, we can up our game and be a better band. And I wanted to do a professional record, and I wanted to do it, in a great studio. I wanted to have a great producer and just see what kind of product we could deliver. Because I got a guy that's auditioning for AC/DC now. So I know I got a real
Yeah.
talented singer, right? So so I didn't want to miss the opportunity. So that's why we did that.
Yeah. Are there plans for another Strip Wired album anytime soon?
Well, that's up to Mr. Kapernsky, because even though he's a hard worker, he likes the money in his pocket. And, the Strip Wired doesn't pay as well as, say, a Back in Black show, right? So, Darren, you want to do a Strip Wired show for these people, or Back in Black show to Sold Out House of Blues? And it's hard on his voice. It's a demanding voice.
Uh-huh.
So we were having Strip Wired open up for Back in Black. I thought, what a great way to market our band. Here's our demographic. It's an AC/DC inspired record. We can play in front of these great AC/DC people that are coming to see our tribute band. And it was working really good. And we do like 4 or 5 songs, but you couple that with, an hour and a half or 2 hours of a AC/DC set, and I've got a tired singer on my hands,
Yeah.
So it's tricky. I want to do one. I'll probably beat you up here, Darren, down the road to do another one. And he's already saying, "Oh yeah, good luck with that." But
is he there with you right now?
No, but he'll listen to this, I'm sure. And I'm pretty confident the rest of the guys would want to do something, because it's just fun. It's so fun creating new music.
Yeah.
And the record did really well. I mean, it's very successful. We're officially in the black on it now. And how many bands can say that about a record these days,
Yeah. How many local bands?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you guys, brought in Sterling Winfield, who I just talked to, and
he's a great guy. And him and Casey, the owner of Valve Studios.
Yeah.
Man, what another great educational experience, because these guys have incredible ears and insight, and just a great honor to work with those guys, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, I've known Casey a long time, and he's about as perfect as they come.
He's the Jedi. He's a Yoda of sound.
I know, right?
I mean, he can hear stuff. Just amazing. Yeah, what a talented guy. And we grew up in the same little town outside Chicago. Went to the same high school. So it was a great coincidence. We bonded over that.
Last week, you guys Back in Black did a show, and a speaker caught on fire during your set. Was that a compliment?
Bernie, do you know, this is an unpowered speaker that was, just up in the rafters. Do you have any insight how that could have happened? I've never seen that happen ever in my whole experience as a musician.
No.
Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen that at all. I watched the footage of it, and it's kind of scary, but it's kind of scary, but you guys powered through it. But I've never seen that, an unpowered speaker,
Do you have any theories of how that could have happened?
No, I'm not an audio guy, so.
Oh yeah, I can't either. I mean, we were pushing it pretty good, and there was a band on us for 2 hours that was pushing the system pretty hard, and then we came on. But the speaker had been sitting quiet for, maybe 25 minutes, so it had time to cool off. And we played the first half of Hell's Bells, and everybody in the audience started pointing up. And I'm like, what the heck? And I saw the smoke, and we stopped the show. But man, that could have turned really bad. And thank God those guys were there right away at the fire extinguishers. But that was a crazy experience. That was nuts.
What are your plans coming up for Back in Black?
We're going to keep chugging away. We got another great schedule this year. We're so fortunate. We're in a great area. Like I said, Texas is such a great demographic for us. Great AC/DC fans out here, so they're keeping us busy. I'm hoping that the movie will give us some legs and raise the stock of the band a little bit, and increase our exposure. And I'm hoping, that'll hopefully parlay into some bigger and better shows for us. I'm always trying to, up our stock and raise the level of the band. And so far we keep heading in that direction. So that's the plan.
Right on, man. Well, where can people find you guys on social media?
We're on the Facebook, and that's Facebook, backinblack.info on Facebook. Our website is backinblack.info. Instagram, Real Back in Black, and mystupidtriviaband.com.
Right on, man.
And thanks for watching the movie. I sure appreciate that, and appreciate your support and your time for doing all this.
No worries, man. It's a great movie. If anyone has not seen it, it's worth a watch. What you say documentary, but you practically documented everything. Like you said, from the first rehearsal to you rescuing a puppy to driving in bad weather. Like you had the wherewithal to film this stuff. And it all fits, By the way, Mike, you seem like the nicest guy, and everyone I've talked to that knows you can confirm that. So thank you so much for doing this.
I got you all fooled. Yeah, I got you all right when I need you. Yeah, that documentary, like I said, I thought I'd just start like with a 5 or 10 minute documentary. And I started piecing it together, and I'm like, hey, I might be kind of good at this, And I realized I had all that footage, and I started more, and I had put together all these notes and my outline and what I wanted to accomplish to do, and putting together a documentary was a pain in the ass.
No,
I mean, it was a ton of work. It was 2 years of my life, every day sitting in front of a stupid computer doing it. And but man, it really rewarded me. I'm so proud of it. It was really fun. It took me back down, on a memories that I had. It reconnected me with all my past members, and it was so great to see these guys when we did our little premiere here in Dallas, and connect with old band members. I appreciate everybody that's has stepped foot in this band, and that was one really nice thing about this documentary.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, Mike, I got one more question for you. My podcast is called Is Breakfast Included? And if we were having breakfast, what would you have?
Well, I'm not a big breakfast guy, Bernie, but I've got a big sweet tooth, and I take after my grandma. I would have, if I could have anything I want for breakfast, I would have, and sitting down with you, I'd see if they have like a frosted apple slice with raisins and orange juice.
Right on. Well, Mike, I appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Bernie, it was my pleasure, and thank you. It's an honor, and man, keep up your great work. And I can't even comprehend what you do for a living. I think it's so cool, and thank you so much.
No worries, man. It was good talking to you.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right on, Mike Mroz. Check them out at backinblack.info, or you can find them on Instagram at Real Back in Black. If they happen to be in your area, go check them out. You won't be disappointed. Like I said, they are so authentic. Their singer auditioned for AC/DC. All right, guys, I am done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.